Hey Kate, how are you doing today?
I am good, brother. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I like always looking forward to these Mondays and always getting to chat and just kind of running through our weekly updates and different call to actions. It's refreshing to have these conversations. So
Yes, it is, brother. Yes, it is. And I love seeing your freaking beautiful face. So,
absolutely, absolutely. One of the best guys in town, actually, you're this way. One of my best friends, Cade Olaf.
uh, you're too kind.
Yeah. Sweet, sweet. Well, hey, I'm gonna hop right in. Got some fun stuff to share, so I'm really excited. And so sort of the market updates that we always start with. The S&P 500 was up 0.86% last week, up year to date 8.4%. Russell 2000 up last week 1.35 and up year to date 2.3 or 2.8. Dow Jones up about 1% last week and up year to date about 2.5%. So we're seeing somewhat of a recovering market, which is good. I
Yeah.
don't know how this is going to be long term, but it is nice to see a lot of the uncertainty kind of clearing away. A lot of these negative prices have been priced into the indexes. So I'm not going to necessarily say we've hit a bottom. However, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't really test the waters back at where we were, end of January, early February. As for my call to action this week, so I've been seeing a ton of stuff all over social media, and it's been happening for months, but specifically a lot of stuff over the last few weeks of just people spreading things that just aren't true. Uneducated people are talking on subjects that they don't really know. They're using platforms like TikTok, Facebook, social media platforms, and they're using celebrities that are kind of backing what they have to say
Mm.
to push their motive out. And like one concept that I've been seeing a lot of is infinite banking and leveraging life insurance for infinite banking, which is a true concept and it does work, but it's very particular and it fits a certain type of client. And if it doesn't work for you, it's not going to work for you. And it's actually going to end up hurting you long term. And so just
Mm.
making sure that you're consoling and consulting, not consoling, consulting local professionals in their industries and
Right.
actually asking them questions and seeing what is the best fit for you is super pivotal and important. And don't get sucked into the things that are out there because of course everyone's got their case that is great, like for
Right.
example, I made like close to $15,000 on Tesla stock a few years ago when it had that huge uptick. Am I an
Mhm.
amazing stock picker and do I always pick stocks that win? No. Do I have a high
Yeah.
percentage? I've got a pretty high percentage, but that's because I know how to read those stocks. When I bought Tesla, I didn't know what I was doing. It was sheer luck. So again, everyone's got that one success story, that one story of luck where they do great. Don't fall into the traps. Consult your local professionals.
Yeah, it reminds me of a story that who was it? Dave Ramsey. He talks about this story with a billionaire that he met, and he's kind of trying to learn from this billionaire. What's the secret sauce to getting from a couple hundred million to all the way to the billion mark of just net worth and value. And the billionaire says, I have a book that you should read. And Dave Ramsey is like on the edge of his seat. He's like, okay, what's the book? What's the book? And the billionaire says, The Tortoise and the Hare. And he says, the crazy thing about that book is he's like, I've read it to my grandkids a million times. He says, and the tortoise always wins. Right. And to your point, it's often you find as anyone who's coming into this world of business entrepreneurship like you and I, there is so much eye candy, right? Oh, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this. And what you and I feel we can both agree on, and what we have both found is that the most successful guys have done the same things for decades, and they just have perfected that model and that thing. And
Absolutely.
so, all that to say, back to your point, right? Um, so, yeah, what would be, Drew, your biggest piece of advice for someone who's maybe new in this space, or they're looking for that professional or that person who's doing what they want to do? What's the best way you've found to maybe reach out and get in contact with that person?
Absolutely. So in terms of just like figuring out exactly what it is that you're coming across, let's use, the infinite banking concept with life insurance. You know, okay, life insurance is the piece. Consult a financial advisor or an insurance agent, right? Find someone who you know, like, or trust. There's a lot of them. And or use your network, leverage the power of your network to find someone who will be able to give you advice. Come to the NGRN meetup, another way. Meet those professionals, talk to me, talk to other people, learn about what is best for you and what fits your specific situation. Because again, it doesn't make sense for certain people, but it does make sense for others. And there's a lot of factors that you're not going to really know about until you talk to them. So
Right.
that's it.
That's awesome. Love it.
Yeah, man. How
Uh,
about you? What's your market update? What's your call to action?
Absolutely. So market update, I'm going to go over Tucson briefly here. So in March of 2023, the average sales price was 330 grand in Tucson. Okay. That is pretty much flatlined since about October, November of last year. So in October of 2022 is 325. So we've seen over the course of, 6 months, whatever, 5 grand. Okay. So it's pretty much staying stagnant at that price point. Days on market, March 2023 shot up, and from February it was 8 days on market in Tucson, and now it's at 10. So a pretty sharp increase over a month of 2 days on average. So again, we're seeing a little bit of that kind of lull. And then as far as month supply goes, we've flatlined from February to March, and we're still at 1.7 month supply. I also realized that in the past videos, I've been explaining month supply wrong, so I want to address it here. So month supply is basically that every active, so like, let's look at the active listings right now. So homes for sale right now in Tucson, there's a little over 1,700, okay? Little over 1,700. So what month supply means is that it'll take 1.7 months at the rate homes are selling right now in Tucson for all of the current inventory to sell out.
Hmm.
That's what month supply is. Okay. So, the little bit 1,700 homes, the little bit over 1,700 homes, it'll take almost 2 months for all of those homes to sell out if the market stays at the current pace homes are selling at. Okay. So that's what month supply is. And again, it's still the same metrics though. 0 to 1, that's kind of your seller's market. 1 to 2, in between is a buyer and seller's market, depending on the area. And then anything 2 and above is your buyer's market. Just in general on average. Okay. My call to action today, I'm going to piggyback off Drew. And I had a situation, I want to explain it in a story. I had a situation recently where I had a client who wanted this home. This home was severely overpriced. I'm talking about 160 grand overpriced. Okay. And so I take the client to see it. We see it 2 or 3 times. She wants to make an offer. So we make an offer and I encourage her, make it, the $160,000 less. It's not worth that much. So we make the offer, and the sellers and the agent get back to me and they say, "Oh my gosh, this is a horrendous lowball offer. We can't believe you did such a thing." Okay. And I just laughed to myself. Anyway, the agent tries to explain to me about how she valued the home, or how they valued the home. I don't know if I can even say she. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So she valued the home incorrectly. Okay. She was pulling data from a completely separate neighborhood that is on like acreage and custom homes. The neighborhood we were in was a, straight up subdivision community. So they're all tract homes. Okay. They're all cookie cutter. And she was pulling comps and pricing from a completely custom neighborhood. And
Wow.
I told her, and I said, listen, you can't do that. It's
Yeah.
not priced the same. And so, anyway, that was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. Last week, I'm kind of sitting there, and my client texts me, and she says, "Look at this price reduction." And we look at the home, and sure enough, they came down like 80 G's or something like that, and they got it under contract. And so they were like 30 grand above what I instructed my client to offer. And so now they're under contract on it, and we're trying to figure out if she wants to submit a backup offer. So anyway, it's kind of a sucky situation. and the fact that we were there first, and their seller and the agent didn't want to understand where the market was. But again, it's just so important to be using people that are local to where you are, and they are professional and they understand what they are doing. Okay, I don't care how long you've been in this business. This specific agent had been in the business like over 3 decades and
Wow.
still priced it. And I was surprised. And I'm like, here I am. I've been 2 years full time doing this, and I can tell you that's wrong,
Yeah.
right? So, call to action, everyone watching, please make sure you are working with someone that actually understands what they're doing, and understands how their business and industry works. So that's the biggest call to action today for this week.
Yeah, I think it's good, and it levels off, kind of the entirety of both. Like, it is just super important, super valuable, especially when times of uncertainty, as well as just, understanding in situations such as that, where you see things on social media, or you're dealing directly with a buyer who might place an offer and buy a house that's way too much more than it's worth, and then they're instantly underwater, puts them in a bad shoe. So I love
Yeah.
that. Love that.
Yeah, and that's one of the things too. I said, listen, you can pay that, but you are severely overpaying,
Yeah. Yeah.
astronomically overpaying. And I said, I'll do it, but you need to understand that that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay. So anyway, all that to say, yeah, just please work with people that understand what they're doing, and don't feel either that if you don't work with someone that you're gonna rub them the wrong way or whatever. Jordan Peterson, Jordan Peterson, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So I was talking with a friend yesterday at church, and he was talking about Jordan Peterson, and one of the things he says is that there's two types of people in this world. You have confrontational and non-confrontational. He says confrontational people don't have a lot of friends, but they get a lot of things done. And then he says non-confrontational people have a lot of friends, but don't get anything done. And you're either one or the other. And it just made me laugh, right? Because in business, you have to be confrontational because it's your time or theirs, right? And
Absolutely.
so just know that too. I mean, if something's not working out, or you signed up for something that isn't going the way that you planned, do not feel bad to confront that person. And if it doesn't work out, it just doesn't work out. But you have to fend for yourself out there, because people will take advantage of you.
Absolutely. I'm learning that right now, dude. The last few months have been that way for me, just understanding that I have to, or my time is valuable, and that I need to start, taking advantage and saying, look, I am who I am. I do what I do. And you're asking me for my opinion, my advice. And, I get clients that sometimes come and sit down with me, and they're like, I can't afford, the amount that you're suggesting that I put away. And I'm like, that's 1,000% great, but I'm basing these numbers on math, logic, and reason, nothing else. And if you can't afford that, you're not arguing with me. You're not paying me. You're arguing with your future self. So yeah,
Right.
I'm starting to learn that. It's a tough game to learn, because I definitely grew
Yeah.
up unconfrontational, but I'm starting to kind of shift over to that mindset.
Yeah.
So
And the thing is, it doesn't help anyone being non-confrontational, right? Because this is what happens, and this is what I've learned very quickly. You don't confront your client that they can't afford that. And then what happens down the line when something goes bad and they say, Drew, what the heck? Why'd you do this? And you're like, well, I should have told you, back when we first had our initial conversation, but I didn't, because I didn't want to confront you and, potentially lose you. Now you got a much bigger deal on your hands, right? Where it's like, you know what I mean? Where it's like similar in my situation, where my client's like, well, should we just buy it at list price? And I'm like, yeah, yeah, let's do it. And then the appraisal comes back $160,000 less, and then we have a huge issue, right? And now my client is like, why the heck didn't you tell me this? The seller's not willing to budge on price, and now you just lost a deal, and you put all that work into a deal that doesn't even work out. So it just helps everyone in the moment to just be confrontational, be true, be honest, and go from there. So
I love that. I love that. Well, sweet. Well, we always like to end on a quote, and your story earlier actually led me to kind of a motivational story quote ish. So if you're cool with that, I'll share it.
let's do it.
All right, sweet. So you were talking earlier about the tortoise and the hare being, that billionaire's favorite book, because it's so true. And I completely agree, right? There's this quote where it says, uh, everyone looks at the mountain of success and they look for an elevator as a way to the top. And most people just spend most of their lives walking around the bottom of this mountain looking for the elevator, where those strong willed individuals just start the climb instantly. So it's that concept of, yeah, there's going to be a few that find that elevator and make it to the top, but most of us have to actually climb the mountain to get there. And so just making sure that you're working daily, you're talking about that goal setting, right? Reverse engineering, taking a year goal or a 10-year goal and going back to a year, then going back to a monthly goal, then back to a weekly goal, and then actionable daily steps that you can put into play today that will get you to hit those goals. So yeah,
I love it, dude.
love
That
it.
is
Sweet, man. Well, dude, let's be in touch for sure. And NGRN, so that's gonna be the 28th of April. April
yes.
28th from 5:30 to 8:30 at the Sands Club. I'm looking forward to it.
Likewise, likewise. Like I said, I know you and I are taking a little bit extra time this month to personally invite a lot more people. So
That's
I'm
it.
gonna be stoked with the turnout.
I'm super pumped, very excited. So sweet, man. Well, dude, until next week.
Sounds good. Talk then.